I'm gonna do some artwork. Beautiful colors we have to pick from. Think of all the colors that are on your sandals.
Oh, yeah.
How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Doing all right.
That's
Thanks.
good.
Glad to be moving and on time.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very busy, but good. Thank you. Yes.
So how's your business going?
Good, thank you.
That's wonderful.
I appreciate it. Yes.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm well, tired today, but really well.
You have a busy day yesterday, or?
I was telling Frankie, we went down to Edison to the park right near the Menlo Park Mall. I think it might be called Menlo Park, I'm not sure. And, Middlesex County Commissioners have for 60 years put on plays in the park every summer.
Oh, nice.
3 plays, they are Broadway caliber plays with live orchestra. You bring your lawn chairs, you put them on the hill, and the play unfolds in front of you. So we saw chorus line last night. $5. Wow. 7 if you're not 16.
That's
So
fantastic.
they put on an adult show, a children's show, adult show during the summer. In the winter, they have Steve Cooper and Trinity and Joseph Wilson. It is phenomenal. And most of the actors and actresses either are Scripters Guild or the other
They're all professionals, all. You can make 3.
Your special wishes to so boxes are full of special wishes.
I turn the bucket and spinning boxes into a landing into an airport.
That's perfect.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Look how beautiful you are. Like a garden of flowers. I'm sure it's on the other side of this camera as well, on the other side of the live stream. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living Morristown, where we celebrate life as spirit revealing itself by means of creation, therefore by means of us. So it's August, people. It's August, which means it's a new month and a new theme. We are revering nature, and there's so many layers about nature that we can explore, right? Nature, our nature, true nature, all that. So today the topic is blessed by nature, and those of you who are here, which always makes me so happy to see your beautiful faces, and those of you that are joining us online, whether it's today or any day, because we now know that these recordings most likely will live forever. So we are blessed to be together and to remember this beauty about Mother Nature and divine nature as us. So what I'm exploring today is this idea that we are ever blessed by nature. That nature's blessings are everywhere, and that we can open to them as a nourishment, as being fed by truth. And that Mother Nature is our teacher. We can think of her as our guru, as our guide. And then we're going to ask ourselves, well, what is mine to do to be a healing presence in nature? Because she needs it right now. So you can find us on the internet, cslmorristown.org. We do our very best to keep everything up to date. There's some fun things to find there, and there's especially something to find about our next events. And we have 2 events this month. One is on Saturday, August 20th, when we have Srinath Parangur back. He did some beautiful South Indian violin, and and he's accompanied by Sridhar Parthasarathi, and that is from 4 to 5:30 p.m., which is kind of a new time for us, and I like that it's 4 to 5:30 p.m. on a Saturday, because then you can all go out to dinner afterwards. And it's only in person, we're not doing this online. And then our beloved Kat is presenting a sound bath for us. Kat's here today, so you can ask her any questions about that. But that's on the Sunday the 28th, right after celebration, 12:45 to 2. For this one, we ask that you register on Breeze. So please take a look at the flyer or go to our website. So my name is Frankie Timmers, and I'm the spiritual director here at Center for Spiritual Living. And let us say hello to one another. How many of you have been to India? One of the things you may have noticed, that a lot of times people greet each other like this, right? Which is really a very high spiritual greeting. It's saying namaste, which means the divinity in me blesses the divinity in you. So today, as you do that, don't just notice the blessing that you're giving to another and that you're seeing their true nature, but receive being seen. So put your hands together. Namaste. Bless each other. Oh, sweet. All right, let's move into our spiritual mind treatment, our word for affirmative prayer. Let's quiet our minds, close our eyes, take a breath. And make ourselves a vessel to receive this truth. Trusting and knowing that this word, this truth spoken, lands on the fertile soil of our consciousness. It lands within our truest nature, where it is received as an absolute truth, and then we allow it to blossom through all aspects of our being, all aspects of our nature, but most of all, our conscious mind, so that we may begin to see the world, ourselves, each other, in a new way, in a lighter way, in a more loving way. So today we let nature be our guide, because we can see in nature where this is already beautifully happening in a symbiotic way. And so we use her as a guide to bring this to our everyday living. I trust for each and every one of us that we are experiencing ourselves in the highest and best ways, and trusting that how we give it life is a gift and a blessing, not just to ourselves, but to each other and to our planet. And so it is. So, every morning, I sit by my window and I look out. We have a very small backyard in a residential area, but lots and lots of trees. The river is close by, the Raritan River. And we have all kinds of interesting critters around us. I happen to live with someone who's part Cherokee and loves animals, so he likes to feed the wild cats. Animal control has been to our neighborhood a few times. And we've seen possums, groundhogs, raccoons, cats, what else? Deer.
Rabbits.
Rabbits, yes, bunnies,
Voles.
Chipmunks?
chipmunks.
Foxes.
Huh?
Birds.
Bears.
No bear,
Little mice and
Say
voles.
it louder.
not yet bear.
Foxes.
One fox, but not in the backyard, but I've seen a fox in a neighborhood,
Tigers.
yes. No tigers and bears, not yet. So about 2 weeks ago, the first thing I always do is I get up and I open the window if the air conditioning is on, because I don't like air conditioning. I open the window and then I do my thing and sit by the window and do my reading, my meditation, all that. So I look out the window and there's a deer sitting in the grass. And he was there for over half hour because he was obviously there when I woke up. He had been there. And I was so fascinated. He was a young male and just sitting there in the backyard. There's a gate all around. There's what do you call that? The wire fencing all around. So he could not have come in from the street. He somehow came in from the back. So I have like 10 videos and 100 pictures. I'm happy to show you. But he was there for a while and I was just so fascinated. I'm fascinated by deer anyway. And as I sat there, I felt so connected to nature. I felt so blessed. And I was so intent on seeing where he was going to go when he got up. He finally got up and I thought, how is he going to get out? Well, he stood in front of the fence, which is about this high, and he just went. And I was amazed. I felt the connection to life. I felt the beauty of nature. I felt the magic of nature. And it was there all day. Have you had that experience? What's that feeling that you feel when you're in nature and you feel that connection? What is that feeling?
Peace,
Calm, peace, oneness, compassion, purity, curiosity, connection.
A small part of a bigger thing.
Yes.
Love.
So think for a moment about that feeling. If you don't have that, which I doubt, just take in what somebody else said. Just feel that feeling and close your eyes just for a moment. And feel that feeling. That, my dears, is your true nature. What you feel is your essential nature. And you can open your eyes if you wish. And it's a place where we can go anytime. Because it's always there. It's not something that goes away when you're working. It's not something that goes away when you go to the gym or get into New Jersey traffic. I know it's hard. But it's always there. It's always available. It doesn't go anywhere. It's your true self, your sacred essential self. And so when we experience nature like that, it's just nature saying, this is who and what you really are. Now go be that. Go live that. But what happens, because we feel divided between our spiritual nature and our human nature, we go out into the world and we forget. And our forgetfulness creates suffering. Maybe a lot, maybe a little, maybe somewhere in between. Our forgetfulness creates a sense of separation. And when we look at what's happening in the world that worries us, or angers us, or causes anxiety, it's because we as individuals have separated so much that it has to show up out here. That's pure metaphysics. As within, so without. So I find myself cursing what's happening in the world. And then I feel like crap. And then I sit and meditate by my window in the morning and I go, oh wait, the world is my mirror. It's just showing me where I am separate, where I get to unify and remember the oneness of all life, where I get to give life to my true nature, that particular feeling. And so think about this idea of the breath, how we forget that the breath is our connection to life. How we don't even have to think about breathing. I mean, I don't know if any of you have to remind yourself to take a breath. every few seconds? Very few of us do, right? We might remind ourselves when we're angry or frustrated, or when we get a headache, or when we hold our breath. Or breathe. We might say that to somebody that's struggling, right? Take a breath. Come on, honey, take a breath. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. So when you think about the magic, the natural magic of our breathing, I know it's very technical, and my mind cannot even comprehend the miraculousness of it. But when I breathe out, nature breathes in, because there's a natural gas exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. That's amazing. I mean, hold your breath right now. Take a deep breath. Hold it. Personally, I can hold myself for a long time. So I practice as a kid. I wanted to win with my brothers. And so we hold our moment of this, a moment of discomfort. You have to believe. It's not very long. But we can live without the breath. So the breath is miraculous. Anybody who's a scientist in here or understands biology, you know so much more about a single breath than maybe all of us together that don't know as much. We forget the miraculousness of each breath. And so that, again, is a semblance of our nature. And so the quote that I used in the blurb was by Albert Einstein, where he says, look deeper into nature, and then you will understand everything better. And then you will understand everything better. He doesn't say what nature. So I would say all nature. Your true nature, nature out there, the nature of others, the nature of things. And so, can we think of Mother Nature as a teacher? I'm sure you all have in some way, shape, or form, right? Can you think of her as your guru, the first one? Can you think of her as a guide, especially when we're struggling? In that moment, we can look at nature and say, what do you think, Mama? What do you have to say? And so the invitation for us is to constantly align with nature. One of my favorite shows on CNN is The United Shades of America by W. Kamau Bell. And he had a whole episode the other week, Sunday, on fires. And one of the people he was interviewing were several native tribal firefighters. And they were saying, we have known how to fight fire since the beginning of time, because they've been there since the beginning of time. But most people don't want to listen. And so we know that those who are the natives or the aboriginals have a whole different connection with nature, and they're not threatened by her. They feel safe because they know how to move with her instead of move against her or feel a sense of separation. So the invitation for us then is, how can I align more with Mother Nature so that that divine flow can show up in my life, so I can remember my own true nature? The beauty is that something in you already knows all that. There's no mystery. We just get to listen more deeply and act more consciously and more responsibly. And so what we see now in the world that may cause you worry or anxiety is how we've poisoned the water, how we've poisoned the air, and how we've poisoned the soil. How extinction is a continuous thing on the news. This week it was the monarch butterfly. And so, what does that say? It just says that we have forgotten her. We've forgotten to live in the oneness with her. we have harmed her because of our own selfishness. That's not something to beat ourselves or each other up with, because obviously that creates a whole other law of cause and effect thing that creates more problems. But to look at it from a place of compassion, willingness to learn and grow, change our behaviors, and be a part of the solution, right? And so we've basically been ignorant because we want to shop. We want more stuff than we can even take care of, right? We want to buy certain things, and we forget that those certain things really harm our environment. We want pretty lawns, so we have to use poison to kill the weeds. We don't like mosquito, so we have to spray to kill them. But Mother Nature cannot be destroyed. She can transform, and she'll live forever on this planet that's 4.5 billion years old. We'll go, but she stays because she knows how to recreate herself. And so we're now in what scientists called the 6th mass distinction. I've said this before. It's called the Holocene or the Anthropocene extinction. And it's the first one created by us, by human beings. Let that sink in. And so we ask, what is my part? From a place of love, because if I ask it from a place of fear, it's a whole different thing that happens. We create separation and we experience more suffering. But if we ask that question from a place of love and compassion, then we're guided by that guru, Mother Nature, to be a more conscious presence, a more conscious consumer. Knowing that none of us are going to do it perfectly, because that's not what's asked of us. It's just asked that we do it more consciously, right? And so we notice how we disconnect, when we disconnect, not just from Mother Nature, but from our true nature, and what that's about. And we sit and listen and pay attention and ask, where is the mother suffering the most? Can I forgive myself for my part in it? And can I be a healing presence for the healing aspect that is mine to bring? If you're not sure what that is, I would say start by meditating and listening more. Go into nature and listen. Have you ever listened to a tree? They speak of profound wisdom. So easy to dismiss. I don't hear it. I don't hear it. I don't hear anything. But when you listen long enough, you hear her heartbeat. And her heartbeat is her voice. So what is it then to be a healing presence, knowing we can only do our best? Because I know it's easy to say, well, why bother? It's a done deal. Or I'm the little guy, it's the big companies that are responsible. Well, then stop purchasing from those big companies. Many of you know that I have such an issue with plastic bottles. And I think, what if all of us stopped buying them? They wouldn't be made anymore. And I'm not perfect. I occasionally buy a bottle when I forget my bottle and my jar and my filter at home to use that. But these are little things that we can do, right? And so what are some other things we can do? Well, we can really pay attention to our habits and change our habits as a consumer, as a caretaker of the land around us, as somebody who loves to commune with nature. We can change our spiritual practices. I'm just curious, this is not a judgment. How many of you pray for Mother Earth every day? Yes. Next time I ask, I want all hands to go up. Pray for her. She's your mother. I know some of you don't have the best relationships with your moms. Get over it. Pray for the Mother Nature, because she will appreciate it. And so, educate yourself. Do you know that when we look at refugees on the planet, they're everywhere. But now, climate refugees is a very common reason why people migrate. Where people have to leave their homes because they're either falling in the ocean or in the rivers or in the lakes, or there's so much drought that they can't stay where they are. And so we can educate ourselves on that. We can turn to our own true nature and find joy there, because I know what I'm talking about can be like, oh, what a bummer, I wish I hadn't come or listened. She's depressing me, for God's sake. But these are things we need to talk about, we need to think about, we need to awaken to, because we're the ones alive now and not in the 15th, 16th, 17th century, because we're the ones that are called to make that difference. We're the ones on a spiritual path. We know, we understand. And we could do sweet, simple things that can heal our planet. So we turn to that true nature, capital T, capital N. You know, that's your wisest, most evolved, most loving, lovable, loved self. It's that aspect of you that is your oldest self, filled with wisdom. Do any of you ever love to talk to older people and ask them questions about life and how they've survived? Well, that person is inside of you, even older than that person you will ever meet. And it has so much wisdom. It's your divine nature, your true self, your spiritual self. Reconnect, celebrate, commune with, forgive, and enjoy. Because this is where we remember that the human experience and the spiritual experience is one and the same thing. They're not separate. This is where we come to know love in a way that we can never experience with one another. This is the place where we realize that the world is simply mirroring back to us, where we are in consciousness and where we're ready to go next. And this is where we get to listen. Listen to that true self. Listen to a blade of grass. Listen to that darn little plant coming right out of the concrete. Listening to the things that you thought died but live. Listen to that little squirrel that is starting to hide the nuts for winter. Listen to the birds flying over in the sky above you. And listen to the deer who's just hanging out in the backyard chewing the little grass. Let's close with a healing treatment. And let us pray for, treat for Mother Earth. So, as we close our eyes and we draw our attention from the outer world, we turn within to our heart of hearts, that infinite well of divine love and wisdom, that place that wants to learn, wants to know, wants to live, wants to experience life to the fullest. That part of us that is ever longing for greater health, well-being, and happiness. And so today, we bless Mother Nature for providing us with so much more than we can even understand. We bless her survival skills. We bless her generosity. No matter how much she's cursed or how badly she's treated, she ever gives and gives and gives and gives. We only have to think about our own gardens for those of us who are gardeners. We only have to think of the last farmer's market or grocery store where we bought apples and pears and tomatoes and onions to realize her incredible generosity without judgment, without punishment. And so today, we deeply grieve for her pain and suffering. We ask for forgiveness. And we keep her in our hearts and prayers for her ultimate wellness and well-being, knowing that each of us have at least a prayer to give, a thought to give, some love to give, some remorse to give, some change of habit to give. And so each of us today make a decision to be of service to the mother that served us with every breath and every heartbeat, of service in a new blessed way, surrendering all fear and worry and anxiety, and knowing that our love is our gift, becoming a reality, a real act, a real action, a real behavior that supports her. And so with awe and gratitude, we trust that the healing has always been happening, is happening now, and is happening globally, simply because we remember her as a guide, as a mother, as a teacher, as a guru, and as a lover. And so it is.
So it is.
And that's Etika Luckett and Lisa Ferraro, called Heaven on Earth. So those of you that are participating, we have the theme for the year, which is Living Everyday Wonder. They're on the back table if anybody wants them, but you can color in every month, kind of measure where you are and how your relationship is with each topic of each month. This month being nature, next month work. That'll be interesting. All right, so some of you have experienced a social hour that Fernando once did, and Kathy did, and Jean did. So if you love that, then make it happen. So you can bring some snacks with you, and we have coffee and tea and all that. So sign up on the sign-up sheet if you'd love to have another social hour, because it was fun. All right, so put your hand on your heart and just for a moment close your eyes and just feel yourself as part of this spiritual community, and feel that exchange of giving, receiving. Notice the balance or imbalance, again, from a place of love, not fear or anything like that. No judgment here, just a listening for the voice of love. And just bless yourself for how you show up, that you show up, how you give, what you give. And if there's anything in you that says, give more, do more, just keep listening and share either with me or any of our leadership council members or practitioners, or ask questions. The one way that we can support this community so it can still be here after we are gone, knowing how much the world needs spiritual community and our beautiful teaching, then choose to give financially. There's a basket here. There's ways to do it online. There's ways to text and give, my personal favorite. And just for a moment, be grateful for this community and how it shows up for you, and you show up for it. All right. And so I want to close with a little blessing, a little affirmation. So repeat after me. Today I show up.
Today I show up
Fully present.
fully present
As the heart of God.
as the heart of God.
I give my love,
I give my love,
which is purely unique,
which is purely unique
to the world around me.
to the world around me,
And the world around me gives it back.
and the world around me gives it back.
And so I am grateful.
And so I am grateful,
And so it is.
and so it is.
Thank you, everybody.